Yeah, I started. Good evening, all. This is Reena Buttada. I came back again. This is the different topic we came up with, like career opportunities in liberal arts. So let's welcome today's speaker, Mrs. Anju Devaskar. Ma'am, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, ma'am. So, welcome once again to this webinar of Abhinav Career Scope. This is a career knowledge series. We run this career knowledge series since last month actually, and this is the seventh or eighth webinar we are taking, and this is like demanding one in this NEP 2020. So
Yes.
we are eager to like listen, and even parents and students are also very eager to listen you about the liberal arts. Before that, let me introduce today's speaker, Anju ma'am. Mrs. Anju Devaskar, she has been an educator for 15 years and taught in prestigious IB schools like TISB, Indus International School, MIT Vishwashanti Gurukul, JBCN International School, Mumbai, before moving into administrative and operational roles. She is currently working as Associate Director Admission Outreach at Flame University, Pune. She looks after outreach activities pan India and abroad, strategic planning and communication, along with many facets of application and admission process. Though she has started her work at Flame recently, but holds a long experience in teaching and administration in education landscape. She works closely with school counselors and educators of secondary schools, offering various boards like SSC, HSC, CBSC, ICSC, IB, CAIE, and other international boards. The best part, she says, about her job remains to interact with students as they navigate their own unique college searches. With this, I welcome Mrs. Anju Devaskar ma'am for today's webinar on career opportunities in liberal arts. Thank you, ma'am, for being here with us. Now, let me share my screen to know all the parents also, and as a speaker, you should also know all the activities run by Abhinav Career Scope. So let me share my screen.
Sure.
Abhinav Career Scope is a leading career counseling firm from Pune. The founder, Reena Bhuttada, is a renowned career counselor who runs the firm. She has done one-to-one counseling of more than 3,000 students in last 12 years. She is known for her career counseling skills for 8 to 12 standard students. She has also conducted scientifically designed aptitude tests for understanding the interests, strengths, weaknesses, and inclination of the students. Mrs. Reena created library of 300 plus careers required in 21st century. Abhinav Careerscope Pune is an expert in abroad education counseling and has helped many students to take undergraduate admissions in US, UK and Canada. The founder, Reena Bhuttada, is also an author of Engineering Cutoff Book, which is published every year. The firm also guides students for IIT, NIT, government engineering colleges admission processes, medical, pharmacy, design, architecture, and other admission processes as well. Currently, 10,000 plus parents are following Abhinav Career Scope daily for the advice through social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. The founder, Mrs. Reena, has hosted many webinars on career knowledge series and has taken interviews of renowned scientists, academians, industry professionals, and experts. The career counseling firm also conducts interactive sessions with students from premium institutes. Abhinav Careerscope has conducted online aptitude tests and online one-to-one counseling for across India and abroad for Indian parents. Distance isn't a barrier anymore to get best career counseling from experts. Now, let us see what the parents and students have to say about Abhinav Careerscope Pune.
Hello friends, myself Mohika Bidkar studying in standard 10. I had counseling session with Reena ma'am. It was very informative and interactive session which I really enjoyed a lot.
We just finished a discussion with Reena ma'am for my daughter, and I think the discussion was very healthy. My daughter, I think she got like real good directions as to what she needs to do to cover up her areas of improvement.
My name is Samina Devkar and I have booked a counseling session for my son Adil Devkar. I think we are very happy and pleased because you've covered all the points that we had in mind, all the confusion, especially what to do after 10. And then of course you guided us well with all the different paths that are available after 10. So that is very helpful so that we can take a very informed decision about what to do next.
My name is Anish and I will thank Abhinav Careerscope for helping me out because I was really confused too about what to choose ahead, and we bonded really well, and it made it very clear of what I should choose and what my goals should be. So thanks to her also.
From KG to PG, to all your educational questions, Abhinav Careerscope Perfect Career Guide is all in one solution.
Thank you all for patience watching this video. Thank you once again. Now, without taking your time ahead, I will hand over this webinar ahead to Mrs. Anju Deoskar ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. Please update us with all the information right from basic, what is liberal arts and every details like we want and our parents and students actually. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Reena. It is really amazing to see that you're doing a wonderful job. And like we were just talking before the webinar started, so when we're talking about schooling education in India, I think the most important thing is that we have to be relevant to our country first. What kind of schools, what kind of education system, what kind of values, social lifestyle, parenting, what do we really live in? That is real for us. We can't be just talking international all the time. We've got to be real with what we are connected. And like I got your inputs that I'm talking to most of the students who are into national curriculums, which means your CBSE, ICSE, and your state board, right? So the good news, parents and students, is that I think you guys are doing an amazing education system. You are in an amazing education system. None of the successful Indians that you hear and see everywhere in the world, the Indians, none of them studied international education. They studied the very national curriculum that you are doing. But the point that I'm going to make today with a lot of diligent efforts to kind of make you understand why liberal education, right? The thing is, at that time, it was relevant, okay? The change was happening really very slow. I mean, I remember as a young kid, we used to have those metal, lohe ka balti or a magga to take a bath, right? There were no showers and everything. Or probably if you didn't have money in your pocket, you couldn't buy anything. And if somebody spoke that time that, you can just swipe a plastic card out of your wallet and buy something, people would have said, oh, you've gone crazy, right? But that is the kind of change. The change was very slow, all right? Please understand carefully. The change at that time was very slow. Hence, that education was very relevant. Talking about today, I think when you're talking, whether you talk about, a simple handset, the mobile that you hold, every 6 months is a new generation of the technology that keeps coming in. The change is happening so fast that if you're going to stick to rote learning and mugging up or going to an educational institute, a school or a college just to acquire information, that is that's not relevant in today's world. All right. It was relevant back then, because back then you went to either a library, pick up a book and find out an information. You went to your parents who were your elders who could tell you something, or you went to your teacher or your friend or your some elder, somebody who would actually give you that information. Today, be honest, and you can just type in a yes or a no in a chat. How many of you really go to people to find information? I don't think so. Any one of us go. We have something right in our hand. You just click a button and you have information right in your palm. It's just right there. Okay. So you're living in an information age. Now, what is the responsibility of educational institutes when information is so easily available? One, you have to make meaning of the information that you gather. Number two, you should be able to apply that information, the one that you've collected. Number three, you should be able to build up on the knowledge that you've gathered. I've gathered XYZ. Okay, this is the math formula that I've learned. I can apply it in real world problem. And how can I extend that formula to probably think of some solutions which are where we don't have the problems yet? So that is something which the world is looking at. All right. It doesn't matter today where you study from. Okay. I mean, earlier on, if one studied from maybe a St. Xavier's of a, university, I mean, you knew that, okay, you'll start at a certain stature of when you come into your career path. Today, you may be a dropout, okay, but the company will hire you for what skill sets you have. That is something really important. Now, bringing in the context of what a liberal education system is, or what the National Education Policy 2020 is talking about. They're talking about interdisciplinarity, right? And at this moment, I'm just going to take a minute to share my screen so that I can, give you certain context about what we're talking about, right? I'm sure you all can see my screen, right?
Yeah, it's visible. Yes, ma'am.
Brilliant, brilliant. So here, students, I represent FLAME, hence you see the FLAME presentation here, but basically I'm talking about liberal education in general. What's the approach of liberal education? So going forward now, if somebody is hiring today, okay, they are looking at certain skill sets. What is it that I'm going to pay you for? If I'm hiring you, what is it that I'm looking for in an employee? And if you go from the bottom, which talks about the leadership, the ability to work in a team, communication, both written and oral, your problem solving, strong work ethics, certain initiatives that one can take. These are the top skills that every employer is looking at. These are the top skills which you will need should you start your own business, because this is the startup generation. These are the skill sets you will need if you want to employ somebody in future. So these are the skills which are most talked about 21st century skills that the employers are looking. How do you get them? Okay. So these are the exactly 6 or 7 skill sets that we just spoke about. These are the skill sets employers are looking for. Now, in liberal education, it is not left to ambiguity that the students during the course of their 3 or 4 years program will develop these skills. There is a proper curriculum which is focused towards guiding students to develop these skills, because this is a responsibility of an educational institution to be able to develop the students into these skill sets, making them future ready. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about, how we do it. Now, in a typical liberal education setup, one is not talking about, so what is liberal education? First thing you need to understand, liberal education is definitely not a degree, all right? If you think you're going to join, for example, FLAME University, you're going to get undergraduate degree in liberal education. No, that's not a degree. That is a teaching and learning pedagogy that liberal education typically represent. It basically also very usually misunderstood is liberal education means that, you can do anything. You can It's very easy, it's fun. So that is another huge misconception, that the life is easy when you study liberal education. In fact, it is a little more rigorous, and we'll come to that later on. Liberal education, if you see the very literal word of liberal, it it basically it talks about liberalizing the education, what the national education policy is talking about today. All right, if somebody went to a BCom degree in undergraduate, or a BSc or a BA, from day one till the last day of your college, you attended a course which taught you about those few subjects that you picked, and you started learning right from the day one, right? In liberal education, you have opportunities to explore interdisciplinarity in your teaching and learning approach. For example, I can take subjects like, if I'm very, very interested in finance, all right, but at the same time, journalism or language has been my strong point. I can pick a finance with journalism. And what happens there? I mean, while you study about finance, and you could probably become a person in that career area where you talk about, I mean, you draw your career from the concepts of finance. But also now you have an option open to be a journalist who writes about finance, right? So there are huge big scams happening around in the world. So a journalist who understands finance will be able to write a better article about financial journalism than just a person who studied only English. Earlier, you never had this option. Either you studied English and became a journalist, or you studied finance and became a banker. Now, today you can study finance and do your English, or study journalism and be somebody who can explore multiple careers rather than just one career. So essentially, what a basic program structure which is provided in a liberal education is something where initially every student who joins does not come with a preset mind of, hey, I'm going to do economics honors or economics majors or economics something. You may have a passion for economics, you may have a liking for economics, you may like that subject. But when you come to a liberal arts university, you can pick up economics as one of the subjects, but you've also got to explore maybe a language, maybe a humanity, a social science, a science, all right? And then towards the last quarter of your, first year, you declare that this is the major that I want to do. And then you club it with another minor. This is where the interdisciplinarity comes, all right? So first year in liberal education, normally, I'm sure all the universities do that, but I'll be just putting the context to Flame because that's what I represent. So you will be exploring various subjects across the disciplines in the first year, along with some of the skill sets, remember we spoke about in the last slide, right? And then dwell deeper into a specialization that you choose for. Then there are certain experiential components that every university offers. Here you put to use the information, the knowledge, the skills that you have developed, you put to use in real life, in real context. And of course, open elective courses are something which I can do just random, like, because I'm interested, I have time, I'm talented. I may be doing, I'll stick to the same examples of finance and journalism, but you know what? Theater attracts me a lot, or business analytics attracts me a lot, or something maybe in psychology attracts me a lot. I can take up those courses as well. So this is a basic structure in a liberal arts education. So please, this is the most important slide of my presentation, according to me. You've got to understand that you are not jumping deep into a BA, BCom or BSc. You will come to the university, you're going to explore the complete breadth, and depending on what your subjects, the majors and the minors you choose, your degree will be incidental. So this is a typical structure what university must offer, Flame does. So these are the foundation core courses on this slide that you see on your left. These are the skill sets now. This irrespective whether I study journalism, whether I study applied mathematics, I study computer science, which is all offered in a liberal arts education, by the way. So it's not only humanities, or environmental science, or business analytics, or public policy, or international relation. They're beautiful subjects. You may you may do major in any of those subjects, but you are going to do these 8 courses to develop your transferable skills, which you will need at the job. All right. This is the beauty of the liberal education setup. It actually gets you life ready, not just a career or a job ready. Besides that, you're going to explore two courses from each of these subject buckets that you see: physical and natural sciences, fine and performing arts, global studies, social sciences, humanities. You pick up these subjects and then you decide, I was interested in economics, I'll pick up a subject from economics. But you know what? I'm also going to pick up a subject from literary and cultural studies, or a history, or something in a different language that I'm going to study. So when I study that, what happens? So again, going back to the very basic education structure that we offer in India, right? And it's no fault of yours. It is the country that's offering its generation this system, right? You have been put into very, very closed buckets, all right? That this is a pre-structured thing. You will study these chapters, you will give these, exams, and you will get these marks. How much do you remember from past? Tell me that. If I'm going to ask a grade 11 student, can you tell me one chapter that you studied in your grade 10 in something? Very little percentage of the students will tell, because memory kind of erases, right? But the things that you're going to remember are something that involved you as a learner or during learning, which is the research based or inquiry based, these sort of learning, or something which you were highly interested in. So when you're studying these subjects, you automatically come into an environment where, and here I'm going to move to a next slide to give in more context here. So these are the 5 buckets where every student must pick up a course from, okay? So for example, I may pick up genetics and planet Earth. Reena may pick up quantitative methods and programming. Somebody else may pick up ideas of modern physics and quantitative methods as 2 courses. So even the cohort, the undergraduate first year cohort, when you interact with 10 friends, all 10 friends would be doing 10 different courses. Do you know what that adds to your knowledge? I'll talk about genetics. Somebody else will talk something else. This is how you broaden. And this is where we always talk the breadth of the knowledge. If you don't understand these 5 ranges of the subjects, you will never be able to make or extract maximum knowledge from the one that you dive deeper into. So you pick up two courses from each of these buckets. And this is just an this is just an indicative list. There are maybe about 14 to 24 courses in each one of them, which you can pick from. And then you decide that, you know what, I did this course of thinking like an economist in social science, and that inspired me to take economics. I did poetry from sonnets and slam, and I took literary and cultural studies. Or I studied contemporary dance and I've taken trance as my minors. So you pick up these courses and then you dive deeper into what you actually have to do. And that's very natural way. Any human being, the human mind actually works on these fundamentals. What we have structured is something that we already pre-design and give it to you, a brochure. Just pick one. Do you make important decisions of your life like this? We don't. We have lots of interest. We may not be interested in just one thing. So it allows you to explore a wide range before you can actually pick one subject. And you know what, when you pick up that one in all rational, you've measured what's good for me, what's not good for me. And then you do it with more passion, you do it with more commitment, you do it with more interest, and you enjoy it, right? So that's how, the breadth of the knowledge goes. Now, coming back the lens. So every liberal education institution will offer some specialization areas. Now, for example, if I'm doing economics, now you see that these are the 6 degrees that we offer. Under liberal education, these are the 6 degrees you will get. You can get a BA, you can get a BA honors, BSc, BSc honors, and BBA. So these are the degrees you get. How does that degree get decided? If I'm going to take economics as my major, which is in the first row, and I pick up human resource, for example, as my minor, I get a BA minor degree. But guess what? If I pick up human resource as my major and I pick minor as probably, international studies or economics, I get a BBA as a degree because my major was bent more towards the BBA. Or if I take economics as honors, then I don't take any minor, but I can still take open electives. Okay, because be honest, it's a heavy course. You're going to be an expert in a particular subject. The course content would be such which will not allow you to have a second interest. But at the same time, when I'm doing economics honors, I could do an open elective in journalism. I could do open elective in probably finance or marketing or digital marketing and communication. And out of, we offer 22 majors and 22 minors in that area. So just imagine, children, you have such a wide option. You are going to be, and you're allowed in the first, figure out what suits you the best and then take it. And that's what makes a flame student or a liberal education student so passionate, so vibrant, and so capable, and in love with what they're doing, right? So this is the basic concept. So should anyone have a question on the concept of liberal education, we'll take them later. I'll just go further with my slide. So this is just a little snapshot of what sorts of majors and minor combinations you can have. So if you see these dots, they are 300 plus dots, which indicates 300 different sets of combinations. I can have economics with psychology. I can have economics with film and television management. How interesting is that? Do you know there's a whole lot of business aspect in film and television management? And if you studied maybe film and television management as a minor and economics major, you explore a whole new variety of career options in your life, which you would have not got if you just did a BCom with economics and finance and business, right? Or you take up, something as digital marketing and communication with theater, or with, journalism, or, subjects like these. So this is the kind of option that the students can explore. And at this point, I have another very important thing to tell you, that you are not, when you have so much of choice, students, it's a human nature. You might get it's overwhelming. You may want to do this and that and that and this. So it doesn't happen randomly. You interact with your peer mentors, which are the students from the UG 2 and 3 students who have done this. You have faculty who will tell you that, okay, you know what, you could take a major and a minor which are least connected because you love this so much and you want a career in this, but this is your passion. This is something that you would want to still learn about. Okay, you can do that. Or you may do a major and a minor which complements each other so that you can learn better. The degree holds much more value in a particular career. So all these kind of guidance you get from the faculty, from this, your senior students who will try and help you out, that, these are the combinations that work best. And over and above, you would have explored these subjects in your first 3 terms, in your first year in the 3 terms, to really understand that, hey, you know what, finance is a great thing, but, in my course, I realized I like it, but maybe I'm not good at it. That's why I'm taking entrepreneurship over finance. Okay, so you do all your experimenting and exploration in your first year before you really pick that one particular stream that you are passionate about. And of course, this is something which is a little out of context of the liberal education, but that's most of the good liberal education universities will offer. At Flame, we do offer an experiential learning. What is this component? This component is, while we are talking about all good things and we're putting all good things in systems, how are we assessing it? We want to put you to actual application, all right? If you've done certain subjects, we want you to apply them in real world. So Discover India program is our flagship program. It's not just that you can opt out from, you have to do it. And this is, again, you conduct a very thorough research at the primary and the secondary level. You write a report on that, you present, you make documentaries, you travel places. And since we have constraint of time, probably you can explore IP Flame, and you'll get many YouTube videos where probably, you'll see the students work, and we have more than 100 projects which the students have already done. It's really, really amazing experience. And developmental activity program is something, while we live in a society, we hold a certain responsibility. We may be privileged to come to universities like this, but there's a world which is unprivileged. There's a huge part of the world. What is your responsibility? How do we sensitize you? How do we make you a better citizen? You may become a better economic person in terms of getting skills and being more successful in terms of measured in your monetary thing. But at the same time, we want you to be a good human being, somebody who returns back to society. And again, this is not left to ambiguity that you learn on your own. You have to do these certain things. And the last one is summer internship program, where you get your corporate exposure. If you've done journalism, you're going to work in a newspaper, magazine, or a media house. If you studied film and television management, you're going to work in a relevant company to show your experience out there, or just understand what that industry looks like. And all the 22 majors and minors that we offer, so students have that sort of exposure into the real industry, the corporate world. How are you going to be looked at by the world? What is it that you like about that corporate culture? How can you develop probably your skills further in terms of what sort of masters should you do to be more competent in the real industry, and so on and so forth. So you actually plan, by doing this, you plan your academic and your career pathway. You can actually figure out that, hey, next 2-3 years I've got to learn these skills, and then I'm industry ready, because this is where I want to go. Or you can say that this industry gives me a great experience, I'm going to take this experience and probably do something later on. So this gives you a very real experience of what the world is going to look at you like. So also now, originally, if you see, the liberal education programs were meant to be for 4 years. But in India, we follow the UGC rules, and we're compliant with them. You can't have any undergraduate degree program for more than 3 years. Hence, Flame offers the Flame Scholars Program as the 4th year edition. So which means that after 3 years, you can get your undergraduate degree and move on to some masters, do a job, go abroad, stay in India, a whole lot of options. But should you wish to do the 4th year, you can probably work your minor into a major so that you have a double major, or you could pick up a completely new, different course to kind of, make your CV more solid, to kind of be really ready for the industry. And this also essentially help students, the ones especially who are looking at the academic pathways, where they're looking at universities, where lots of them in some parts of the Western world, especially in US, they ask for a 4-year undergraduate program, right? So in that case, the students would take this Flame Scholars Program for 1 year and then apply for their masters. So it's just an option which is offered to the students, and it's a seamless transition from the 3rd to the 4th year. Any liberal education opportunities that the students get, where students can actually experience a semester or a summer abroad program, to just broaden and make their CV more richer, and experience more better. I'm Now, these are more relevant to Flame. Rina, you want me to take these, to also talk a little bit about admissions, or you want me to stop here and we want to take more questions?
Yeah, we can take the questions because many questions has already arrived.
Perfect. Perfect. So just before closing, I'll just give them one more aspect
Yes, yes,
about
sure, sure.
these are, of course, the facilities and opportunities at the university. What I would like to talk about is what a typical admission cycle or a calendar looks like for university, because we are in India, but we work on very, very international standards. This is how the universities abroad would work probably. We have a similar setup. We start our early decision cycle right in the month of November. And we close our admission cycle towards April. And, this is, of course, in real time, the locations are relevant. Otherwise, right now, it's just the online cycles that we have. So you can start applying now till the month of April. Besides that, the most important thing for your grade 9, 10, 11 students is that students, if they want to engage themselves in, something really productive and get them university ready, have that cloud sorted in front of them where then they're a little confused. What am I going to do? As my teacher is saying, counselor is saying, parent is saying, or I will go out and find out myself what I want to do. Please, explore the summer program, which we call as summer immersion program. This gives you an opportunity to come and stay at the campus for 2 weeks, explore what kind of interdisciplinary approach that the university offers, how you're going to study mathematics so different that you'd never studied it before, or how are you going to connect the two disciplines and understand that the approaches can be so different if you study in a research based pedagogy, right? So this is something that we offer, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and Rina, we can go ahead with the questions.
Thank you, ma'am. It was quite interesting. So many options, so many buckets, and in each bucket we have like so many options. It is wonderful actually, and for like NEP 2020 is coming soon, so it will be a great learning for all the students as per their interest, as per their choice, and as per their aptitude is very important. And these are like so many combination, 300 plus, right? Am I right?
Absolutely amazing, isn't
Yeah.
it? I always envy these students. We never had all these options.
Exactly. When we say the arts, like we are under impression only history, geography, English. But here I seen applied mathematics, fine arts, performing arts, design is also there, humanities, psychology, so many subjects to learn.
Amazing options, amazing options.
Exactly. So let's see what students and parents are asking their doubts. So first, the question by Archana, Mrs. Archana Upasani, can design be a major option?
So we offer design as just a minute, please. Sorry. So we offer design as a minor, but there are very few. So see, design is a in India. Sadly, we have a lot of bent towards the sciences, the mathematics, the engineering, the medicines, and these subjects. So you have lots of options here, but one must understand, to set up a design curriculum as a major in university, it requires far more sort of a infrastructure, resources, and everything, right? So when you're doing design, offering design in a university, it means it has to be something which should meet end to end, right? So at Flame University, we are very one of the few universities who have design as minor, but the student can connect it with something which is more complementing to their career interest after the undergraduation. So yes, we offer design as minor.
Okay. Now the next question is asked by like Dr. Gandhi. Which entrance exams are considered for liberal arts and how to prepare for it after 10th?
Okay. So the first most important thing is that liberal education. It's an undergraduate program, so you can only apply once you finish your grade 12. After 10th, what would help the students essentially is that students can take up courses. I mean, basically, what we're looking at as for the entrance. Number one, the university will have their own entrance test. All right. At Flame, we have something called as Flame Aptitude Entrance Test. So students have to take that test. It's similar to SATs.
Okay.
Besides that, you've also can take up lots of courses which kind of basically, when we're talking of profile building, that starts from grade 10. Now, if this parent is asking about the grade 10, we want to know who is the student. We don't want to know only their marks. They must have certain set of marks, because then they'll be able to cope up with the curriculum that we offer. It's a rigorous one. I mean, students need to be able to read, research, comprehend, synthesize information, apply what they've learned. So this requires certain skill sets. But besides that, we're not only looking at your marks. So we need that the student must have something that they have done outside of their school. Does that answer the question?
Yes, ma'am. Is it that SAT you mean, which we like the students gives for the abroad education? Is it the
Yes,
same?
yes. So like I mentioned, if student has taken the SATs, then they don't have to take the Flame aptitude entrance
Okay.
aptitude test.
Yeah.
But they will still have to do on-spot essay writing and an interview. Right now, due to the COVID-19, we've gone online, so we have one-way online interviews. But given that when everything gets back to normal, we would still have personal interviews.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question by Prakash O. The interest of student is increasing towards psychology nowadays. What combination you will suggest along with psychology and liberal arts?
So, number one, psychology is a very, very popular program at Flame University. Along with psychology, you can pick up economics, you can pick up journalism, you can pick up finance, you can take, I mean, it depends. So, how I would like to answer this to the parent who's asking is, please do not worry about the second option, because that's exactly what I was talking about. You have such a wide variety. So how can you decide that I'm going to do that? And then, do you know, after the first year, second year, you realize, you know what, I don't like this, but I have it now, so I have to finish it. I have no choice. But education, my psychology is my prime interest. I will have it. But the others, I have already explored so many buckets of those disciplines, that I can actually pick and choose from 21 others. One
Right.
psychology, 21 options. So please, we tell students, those who know what they want to do, it's good that you know about it. But especially to the ones who don't know, you're absolutely in good space. You should come and just explore for yourself before you discover what you want to do.
Exactly.
Yes, and I would love to, discuss individually with any of the parents who wish to later on. I'm sure Reena will be able to help us.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Now the next question is, what is the scope for liberal art education in India or career opportunities?
So, if you remember the first slide that I was talking to, okay? Now, if I'm to ask any one of the parents who are listening to me, how many of you are in a career where actually you studied those subjects? We evolved, we found out, we explored. You may be really successful in something which you never studied. You could be successful in a career which you've also studied, right? So, what was the criteria of your success is important, because you had skills of great leadership, you were able to create, you had certain skill sets where you were able to innovate your business, where you were able to take some new initiatives. So the transferable skills that we spoke about initially, where the 21st century skills that the world is talking about, based on those skills, the success is defined, right? So when you talk about the career options, they are plenty. They are just amazing. I mean, I can do another session with the same parents just about careers after liberal. I mean, they're so wide.
Yeah.
If you study simple psychology, all right, you can get into psychology as a behavioral psychology. You can get into criminal psychology. You can become, I'm forgetting the term. What is it called? Yeah, human factor engineering, where the psychologists are working alongside technician to make machines which are human friendly. It's psychology, career in psychology. Who's heard about it? So please, there are enormous number of career options. And very recently, I was attending a session by one of these, the corporate leaders, and the acceptance, or I think the value these liberal education students getting into the industry, they are preferred. I mean, this was a statement made by, I'm sorry, very bad at remembering names, but very recently I heard this. They want students who come from liberal education because they get the transferable skills. If I wrote, learn, get first class degree, that doesn't show that I'm going to be a good employee or a better fit for a job.
That's true.
Better fit, things that I can do. How will I do if I learn well, if I experience well, if I really firsthand do it? So please do not worry about careers. These are the children who are going to have their own startups. They're going to have their own business ideas. There are students who come from very affluent families. They don't even go back to their parents' business. They start something so fantastic of their own. There are students who have gone into academics, who've gone into business, who've gone into consultancy. There's a huge amount of options.
That's true. The next question by Tejaswini. What are the post-graduation or master's degree options after liberal art degree?
So, like I mentioned, liberal art is not a degree.
Degree.
You will get a BA, BCom, BSc, BBA.
Right.
Okay? These are the degrees. All right.
Correct.
Depending on what your subjects have been, you will have more value than a regular BA, because you also have transferable skills, right? You learned it in a research manner. You've learned it from the faculty, which is kind of comes with a very vast kind of research background. So yeah, I think I answered that question as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. The next question, like how we can use liberal arts with technology orientation?
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, how we can use liberal arts with technology orientation?
So, liberal arts, again, I have to say that again, liberal arts is not a degree. You are developing certain skills based on your likes and dislike. How do you connect it? Because, we ourselves, I mean, in my presentation, digital literacy is one of the core foundation core subjects, right? So you are going to be working very closely, adapting to new technologies. And for example, just one random example that pops in my mind is, like, even if you take a core humanities subject like psychology, you could be working in the technology industry. The best companies in the world that make robots, they work with psychologists.
Correct.
So there is so much of integration. So this is what the real world is. What we were doing before is, we were just teaching either arts or commerce or science. That is not what the future careers are asking for. So the employer is also asking for these sort of skill sets, which kind of gets addressed in a university, in liberal arts university.
Yes. Does also liberal arts have research option?
Oh yes, all the time. There's it is research oriented pedagogies used in university in liberal arts, because there's one thing that you offer the concept, and the assessments are done in such a way where there's all application, right? So students do a lot of research, Besides that, earlier we heard, when probably we were young, we spoke about, the universities where these great, professors in, Western University, they used to have students assisting them in their research. This was not heard of in Indian universities. At Flame, we have that culture. Not right now, we've had it for a long time. So the professors who are doing some research in their PhDs and all, they have students as their research assistants. Do you know what it kind of gives them such a good kind of experience that the students get right when they're in the university.
Okay. The next question by Mr. Ganesh Wag. What are the top universities in India for liberal arts in India and also abroad for this liberal arts education, and what is the fee range? Do you know this?
Sorry, if you can just address that once again.
Like the question was related to top universities in India and abroad for liberal arts, and what are
Okay.
the fees range for these liberal arts courses?
Overseas, definitely it goes way beyond, maybe, and I'm just don't quote, I mean, I'm not really quoting one particular university, but maybe, anywhere between 20 to 25 lakh a year. Whereas in India, our university and the others would be on the similar range, I guess. So it's about 8 to 9 lakh rupees a year.
Okay, it is per year, right?
But then, okay, there's a clause here. Now, a university, our university is completely residential. Because
Okay.
what another thing you have to understand, the students, when they go to a university, they're not only going for the curriculum or just to study. They have stepped out as young adults, or rather adults now, right? So campus life adds a huge value, and this comes from West, which is what Flame has adapted. So even if a student lives in Pune,
Okay.
and you're going to join Flame University, you've got to be a student on campus.
Okay, it's purely residential.
You may just
one,
live
right?
very absolutely, because the whole culture of getting getting to use what the university offers, you've got to be there. I mean, there are guest speakers from industry who will just come at 8 o'clock for a session, right? So after dinner, students get together and they may attend a lecture, right? So those sort of experiences, plus so the fee range would be around that much.
Okay, it's amazing. Now this is related to skill sets required actually. What are the skill sets required for success in career in liberal arts?
I don't think this is a right question in the first place, because again, the skill sets, they're actually two very different things we're talking about. Skill sets are something which you use, which you should be able to apply. I mean, skills, if I have a good communication skill, I'm able to communicate others.
Exactly.
Be excellent, but my communication skills are not good, so I may be a better person, but I can't communicate. So it's that sort of a analogy that I just gave you. So in liberal education, the whole education system is such that we're talking about skills which will be required for future careers and the current age careers. So I think that's how I'd like to answer.
Okay. The question is related to psychology. If after doing the psychology as a major in graduation, can one do MA in psychology with specialization like clinical psychology or child psychology?
100%. So even if you take psychology as a minor, you can skip majors. Okay. You have done something else as major and psychology as minor, but while doing it, you got so interested that you want to do masters in psychology. Even as a minor, you can do masters in psychology. As a major, you can definitely do.
Okay. This is over with all the question. The last question from my side. What will be the concluding message to all the parents and students, as the majority students are looking for science stream, commerce stream? So how you will message, you can give the message to the students that liberal arts, why to choose and how they are like will be in the liberal arts education, as it is equally good as per like science, commerce also. But even parents are like they have a fear that they will not get any scope or jobs or opportunities. What you will say from this?
So I would like all of you to Google, put, the history of liberal arts education, okay, and you'll get so much of content on that. It is not a new concept, parents and students. It's a age-old concept, right? And the people who actually went to a liberal education were the ones who were the social leaders, okay, who were leading the armies and the countries and the societies. Those were the people who went to liberal education. Because when you want to lead, for example, if I'm to ask if any of the parent, I'm sure there must be many, if you're head of a company, will you only know about the machinery, how it works, or you will also know about the business, how much business I need to get, how much, and social health of my people, environmental rules of this country? As a leader, you need to know all. Are these same disciplines? They're not. Okay, they're not. So when you talk about liberal education, you are liberalizing by learning this and this and that, so that you can apply it better to the real world. So please, this is a huge misconception that liberal education talks about only arts and humanities. I can give you a fantastic example of this student who had no maths in her high school, okay? Because she had to pick up those subjects from all the 5 buckets, and she experienced mathematics in a whole new approach. She did her majors in applied mathematics. She took an environmental science. Today, she is developing mathematical models to solve environmental problems, okay?
Wow.
What right usage of water. So please, I mean, the technology, I mean, somebody can do computer sciences in a liberal arts education. Do you know you'll be able to apply technology better in the society if you've studied some other humanities subjects, probably along with your technical knowledge?
Exactly.
This is all I have to say. It is, please don't put it in a narrow bucket. Liberal education is not a degree. It is a form of educating where you can study like what exactly the National Education Policy 2020 is saying. That even in engineering colleges, got to teach history or sociology or some of these humanities subjects to engineers
Yes.
to design better machines if they understand the society better. Or a person studying finance must know psychology, because then he can work on the psyche of the society. Where are the which way is the trend going? He can understand behavior of a society because he studied psychology. So please, it's a beautiful thing. And one thing I can say with 100% guarantee, this is the future education. So some of them might accept it now, some of them will come about in 2 years, 3 years, 10 years later, but this is the way forward. Unless you're doing hardcore engineering. But even today, engineering also says that you've got to take up some electives from humanities. That's what NEP, I mean, they'll take 20 years to kind of, really get it going in our country, because we are very huge, our resources, infrastructure is limited. But right now, universities like us are offering it today. We started offering it 13 years back. We're not doing it now. So my last word to students and parents, please do not worry. Don't take education so seriously that you don't educate, don't learn. When you get too serious, you don't learn. Just come out with it. And this is exactly the format of a liberal education. That's why we give the first couple of, the six to 8 months for students to explore what they want to do. How many of us did so many degrees which we didn't make use of anything? We thought we were in a wrong with some small job, learned the skill on the job, then developed it further with some experience, and then got some positions. All our generation did that because we didn't have that choice. Nobody guided us. Today, students have that option. So,
Yes, that's true, ma'am. This was super interesting and super wonderful session. You have given us a lot of insight on liberal arts. We have covered from technology to humanities, psychology, everything we have covered. So thank you so much for your valuable time from your busy schedule. Thank you, parents, for active participation on this topic, especially on liberal arts.
Yes.
Actually, and this is the need of future. So thank you so much for your active participation, all your queries. We tried all our queries to solve in this webinar, but still we are here to solve all your queries. We have put the link of our group. You can join the group of parents where we can solve each and every question if you have in future also, and stay connected so that we can have on one platform to get all the educational updates. So you can click on the link and join the groups. Thank you so much all once again. Have a nice time. Good night. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Reena, and good night to all the students and parents. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Most welcome.
Thank you.